So I'm sitting here with Carissa Reininger of Silver Lining Limited, and we're at the Dream It Launch It Live It conference, and she's just come off the stage talking about financing your dream. And Carissa, I'd love to ask you, if you had any advice to give to an entrepreneur who feels that they're ready to raise capital, what advice would you give them?
It's a big question. There's so much. Number one is be totally real about the realities of your situation, who the right fit would be, how much money you need. The biggest mistake I see people make, and that I've made, is not being completely upfront and real about the full scenario. So paint the picture as it is, not as you want it to be, and find the solutions that will solve whatever that picture looks like for real. And the other thing I would say is that it's fit. Like, as much as we're out there looking for capital, these are people who are going to come in and buy a chunk of our business, and we're stuck with them. So as much as we're out there, don't feel like the victim out there pleading for someone's money. Feel like you're on a real search for finding a good partner. And if they have the money but they're not the right fit, it's not worth it. The money is not worth it.
Yes, I've heard, and people say you're getting in bed with your investors, so you may as well love them or like them or whatever.
And respect them. They have to. I realize that money's not enough. There's a lot of money in the world, and when you actually start to step back and recognize that, the pressure of raising capital decreases and the pressure of finding a partner increases. And I am really conscious at this point that I want to bring on people who add something to the business that I don't have, who've got perspective and contacts that I might not have access to, who can bring something to the table beyond a check.
Okay, sounds great. So you talked about your initial financing, the initial financing of your business you raised from family and friends. And I want you to talk a little bit about how to keep your family and friends as family and friends even when they invest in your business. Can you talk about the structure that you've implemented?
I can talk to it only because I've learned my lessons the hard way. I didn't plan for our growth properly at Silver Lining, and so I was raising capital in the form of debt. So I would have to call someone and say, I've got payroll tomorrow, I need $50,000 to cover the shortfall, I need it now, I'll pay you back $55,000 in 30 days. And so I was constantly in this game of short-term loans as opposed to raising capital in a healthy way. And as it turned out, by the end of our third year in business, we were $400,000 in debt to friends and family. People who were the people that in the 11th hour I could call and who did believe in me enough to take a risk and write me that check. And I didn't handle it properly. So two things happened in that context. One is that I felt so bad that I couldn't deliver on what I said I would. So I started avoiding them, and I started not communicating, and I let the relationships get difficult when they didn't need to be. These are people who believed in me, and I didn't give them the respect back that they gave me when they decided to believe in me. And then the other part of it is that in the midst of me not dealing with it properly, they started harping on me. And so every time they got a hold of me in some way, the conversation turned to money. And so I felt very quickly like my relationships with people that I cared about the most, the people who I actually did call when I needed help, were starting to turn into conversations just about money. And so there was the guilt of not being able to pay it back, coupled with the strangeness of the and the loss of a relationship in a lot of ways. So with my parents specifically, I've had to request and go through a whole process of actually trying to very clearly separate them as a debtor, someone that I owe money to, versus me, them as a lender, me as the debtor, versus them as my parents. And so we've actually gone to the realm of, we have a monthly meeting, one Monday a month, where we talk for an hour about the financial realities of the loan that I have, and when we're paying it back, and how the payment plan's going. And then we have an agreement that says, for the rest of it, when I just call to say hi, when I come to a family function, the money doesn't come up, so I have a chance to just be their daughter and then be my parents. And so we've had to actually draw a pretty clear line in the sand that says, here's the difference in how what you guys as the real money to looks like versus what you guys as my family looks like.
When you talk about, I know that you have a trademark product called the Silver Lining Action Plan, which helps entrepreneurs plan. Can you talk about how you plan for growth and what tips you provide for planning for growth?
Yeah. I think that the two things that are really important, one is people always talk about their revenue, how much revenue they're going to generate. Revenue doesn't matter. It's how much profitability you're going to generate. So I would rather see a company with a lower revenue and a higher profitability than a high revenue and all their profit being eaten up by their overhead and their costs and not doing it properly. So I went down the revenue path. We were growing like crazy. Our revenue was skyrocketing, and we were losing money because our business model wasn't right. that's great, but recognize what your contribution is going to be to making that vision happen, and whatever you're not going to be, fill it in, because you can't be everything. You can't be everything, and you can't be something for everyone. And so if your vision for your company is something much bigger than yourself, you need to recognize that you are going to be one piece of the equation.